Okay, I think I've got this set up. If you all can let me know that you can hear me, I'd appreciate it. I have constant audio problems. Hello, Al. Hello, James. Dwight, how you doing? James, I hope your health is good. Hello, Tammy. Joe Rader, how are you, sir? Loud and clear. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. Audio is such a total hassle for me. All right, let's. Strangely, I'm not getting comments. Uh, on Prism Live, which is going to help me too much. Still here, James? I'm glad to hear that, sir. I don't know the details. I don't need to know the details, but I do think about you. Uh, hope you feel well and can enjoy life. That's an important thing. Well, let's gonna see if I can get Prism Live showing my chats on Prism Live as opposed to. Steve 87th, how are you, sir? The little guy in the dark room. That's right. Well, I'm going to have to, in order to get this right, I'm going to have to pull up this on my phone. Got a little bit better view, Steve. I just wanted to prove to you all that I could actually take a decent photograph. This is at my house a couple hours ago before I came down here. Uh, Definitely still wintry weather here in Pittsburgh. Now, this picture here, uh, I really think came out well. You know, the rule of birds is followed here pretty much, and kind of like this. Yeah, no ducky, no ducky. I'm still using Prism Live, James. I don't know. I'm stubborn like that. We'll see. I think it's going to work. What I did do was I upgraded the RAM in my PC to hopefully get things smoothed out. Hello, Count John at SRV. Hope everything is going well for you. So I've got a whole bunch of what I think are interesting things to talk about tonight. So glad you all. This shot here. I want to rave about my cell phone camera here. um, this is I use the OnePlus cell phone that has Hasselblad technology built into it. And my wife, who has top end iPhone, and I take pictures side by side of the same landscape. There's just no comparison. Pictures that come out of that Hasselblad tech are just amazing. Even though, admittedly, it's probably a Sony camera. 99% of the cell phones in the world use Sony camera, which of course begs the question: why the heck doesn't Sony have a decent cell phone? Don't. But look at the detail that in this sky that this cell phone camera picked up. Really, really nice. And here was what it looked like when I got down here to the shop. Uh, I'll admit that I'm not going to complain about having a dedicated hobby space. And we're going to spend some time tonight going over layout planning for this hobby space. But on a night like this, I really wish my layout was in my basement. um, because I had to drive down here. It was kind of icy, and so it's just kind of a pain. But at any rate, um, okay, who's got a birthday here? Hey, Todd, welcome. I see you've joined. Kyle Stevens, how are you, sir? Trying to pick up everybody as they join here. I don't know how to get a participant list up. I don't know whether that's Ducky technology or not. But whoa, yes, I jumped ahead in the presentation. Where were we? Right here. Sorry about that. uh, I have a very messy desk. Uh, I guess you all can see that now. Hello, Randall. How are you doing? Thank you, Randall. We hope we'll have a good stream, and hopefully, I can get some insights from uh, as we go along here, Randall, on layout plan. I would value that. Value that. All right. Well, it is 8 o'clock on the dot, and so I'm going to go ahead and kick this off. Hello, Anthony Dodge. How are you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Hello, Ed at Happy Valley. Good to see you here too, sir. Beaumont Hill Subdivision. JP, welcome. Alley's 56XX. I don't recognize you. I'm sure you've been around before and I've just missed you, but welcome. Glad to see you on the stream. Uh, I think I've caught everybody who's on the stream at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and kick this off. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do a follow-up to my first stream ever. I did Buffer Car Madness, where I talked about buffer cars, and I promised y'all some decal art, and I have finally finished that art. I apologize it took so long to get that done. But I will be posting this to my website. I don't update my website very often. It's always a learning curve to republish the darn website. That's what I have to do, add a page link. But I will be adding this page to the site. And what really, what I added to this that I didn't add during the live stream when I actually did it live was um, in here, these little, I don't know what they are, signs, placards that are painted on the sills of some of the hopper cars that are in buffer service. So you can see these are effectively 3 millimeters and 4 millimeters high, these groups of signs for the sills. And you can see they are legible. They will be legible when they're printed out, even at 3 millimeters high or 4 millimeters high. If you go to like FedEx and use their high quality commercial. So finally, I've got these done. It took me quite a while to get refocused on it, but I will get this out onto my website and I will publish a quick video about it and give you all a QR code to get right to it. I know that at one point Sparky had trouble getting to my free decals, find them, so I'll give you a QR code that you can get right to. All right, now before I get into the layout planning, Steve, I don't know what the font size is, but it's very small. It was a graphics, a raster, I think it's called rasterized uh, file, and it so it shrinks down, shrinks everything shrinks down, collecting together. So, Steve, I don't know. You might be able to do it on an inkjet. It depends on what decal paper you have. I always use laser and get laser paper. Yeah, I see what you mean, Joe. I will post a link to the page as well, Joe. Good point. Our code is it? Okay. On your screen now. This is going to be. We could call this tool time, tool talk, and there are some fine modelers on the stream already. Um, no, Todd, that's not my phone number on those decal. Just a number I picked out of thin air. It looked like it was a 412, which is a Pittsburgh area code. It looked like it was a 412 on the actual car that I had a picture of, but very hard to read. So I just threw a number on there. It's random. Tell me what you get if. Uh, okay, Valley's 56XX, or double X, you know a lot more about that tech than I do. Vector versus raster. I don't know the end. I don't know. So, but I do know something about modeling, and I do know something about model tools. And I want to recommend this website to you. On this website, it's UMM-USA. UMM stands for Unique Master Models. I don't know what that means exactly, but this, I believe, this site is the creature of a guy by the name of John Wojtek. I have no idea, Ed. I just picked a number out of thin air, whether that's a live phone number or not. I didn't call it. I just picked a number. Leave it to this crowd to try and call the number. Let me know what you get. I don't know. I just pulled it up out of off the top of my head. It's a pretty dangerous practice, I guess. Um, but this website is a product of a guy by the name of John Wojtek. Wojtek. We'll see his name in a subsequent slide, and he's a modeler of some repute. I believe he's from Czechoslovakia or the Czech Republic, and they sell a razor saw on here that is outstanding. Now, I don't know what you all do uh, when you have to cut plastic, like maybe you're cutting a boxcar to shorten it, or you're cutting off the ends in order to put a new end on. Well, I always use this, classic saw blade, probably from Exacto, but it's pretty thick, right? The kerf, KERF, the kerf on this is pretty wide. You move a lot of material. So one of the things that they sell on this website is a razor saw that is extremely thin, works really well. Um, I'll show you. This is the original razor saw that I have. I have this product. I have this wooden handle that they're showing on the screen. Now, what I would, frankly, I would tell you not to get the handle, because all I did was snap a blade. I got the handle, but maybe you're not as ham-fisted as I am. But you can see here that what this is, and I've got a sample of that saw blade right here, is this is an extremely thin saw blade. I mean, it is as thin as a double-edged razor blade, which is very thin. So it has a very, very narrow kerf. And the one that I have, it's got finer teeth on one side than the other. I think they have a selection, but this tool is just amazing for cutting plastic and doing precision work. So I highly recommend this, and the UMM-USA site. They have a lot of interesting things. They have scribing tools. I need to rescribe some lines on something. It's it's a lot of fun. If you're kind of a tool junkie like me, it's a great site. Now here's the new version of the razor saw that they have, and a different kind of a blade. It looks like I don't know. Probably, frankly, it looks like I would break it even, but but this is just highly recommended for you. I will leave that. All right, let me. I've got a list of about 10 topics that I'm going to cover here, and back to my. Okay, so one more thing before we get into the track planning. I do have three potential track plans. Um, I know I've mentioned Plastic Model Mojo before. Let me. So this is their new website, Plastic Model Mojo, and this again is a podcast for a plastic modeling. So it's not necessarily about model railroading, but I want to recommend their latest, not their latest, but episode 133 of this podcast was about primers, how to airbrush primers. And so it's highly informative and related to any plastic model painting, like painting, rolling stock, or something like that. Um, Very related to what we do. And the gentlemen they were interviewed, here we go. They were interesting a guy they called Dr. Strangebrush. And he is from Model Paint Solutions. That's his website here, Model Paint. And he's kind of an expert in airbrushing. So I know that there are a bunch of airbrushers on this channel. So this was all about, and it was not strictly about airbrushing. However, they did recommend. Interestingly, he recommended using a Krylon product. There's a Krylon Paint Plus Primer product called All in One, Fusion All in One. I'll put a picture of this up. And they recommended that black as a black primer, which is, I immediately went out and got a can, and I will try it. Thank you, Ray, for posting that link. I appreciate it. Um, so let me show you that Krylon, so you know what that looks like. So this is just available at your big box. Low. I got it at Lowe's, I think. Probably Lowe's, closer. So I'll certainly be giving this a try, and I'll probably do a short and let you know. Priming with black is a big is a good is a certain technique, to prime the entire model with black and then apply filters to lighten things up. That's what I'm going to do on my latest project, which is A-line auto loader racks that I'm working on. I'll be painting those black. Now, the other primers they talked about, in particular, the ones that I have experience with and I'm really happy with, is something called Mr. Surface. There's a hobby company in Japan called Mr. Hobby, and every product that they release, they call Mr. something. I have it in front of me here, Mr. Super Clear. Well, they have a line of primers called Mr. Surfacer, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 different levels of fineness to the primer. And those are excellent. I've used those in the past. I highly recommend those. They're not as easy as a rattle can. So I'll report back to the about the rattle can, uh, and we'll see how it works. I've got a figure I'm going to paint with it as well. I've got a I'm modeling the American Southeast and the Gulf Coast. A lot of swamps, so I got a swamp troll that I'm going to paint and put somewhere on the layout as an Easter egg in tribute to people who troll you on the. All right, so without further ado, I am going to launch. I can't believe I've already used up 14 hour, but fine, I guess. But I'm going to move on to my layout planning. Let's check the chat and see. Hey, DB Tech, guess you're going to drop out and save cell power? I don't blame you. Um, for what it's worth, I keep at the house one of those big battery backup things. It won't power any appliances or anything like that, but it certainly got its own flashlight. It can run laptops. It can run a television. I've tried that. Um, so it's, of course, I don't have cable. You wouldn't have internet if you had power outage, but it does power, and it's about I don't know, it's like twice the size of a shoebox, weighs about 25 pounds or something, but worth having around in a power outage. Um, but sorry to hear that, Dave. Okay, so now we're going to go into a layout planning. So, down a little. There we go. So, here is the address of my shop, and but also an overall floor plan of the entire space. And see that there's a fairly large area kind of over to the right. Um, and I've drawn in the upper right hand corner of the space, you can see a 13 by 13-foot office for my wife. What's labeled office over here on the left hand side of the drawing is going to be the grow room that I mentioned in the previous live stream. Um, but what I have, so I have the luxury of a fairly large amount of space, and I don't want to use it all. I don't want to overwhelm myself with too big a layout. So what I have decided to do is carve out the space uh, around that 13 by 13-foot office to use for the layout. Good luck, Dave. Good luck, Dave. Yeah. Sucks to lose your power, but losing your power when it's really cold is not good. Not negative 10 degrees like it was. Good luck, Dave. Um, So that's the overall space for the entire building. This cooler area here is where my workshop is going to be. The office, as I said, is the grow room for my wife. This is going to be a reception area and also kind of a YouTube video area for my wife and I to shoot videos. Kitchen area also has a bathroom divided up into um, water closet area, a little half bath, and the rest of it. And the layout is going to be this area down here in this alcove area and out here. That's where the layout space. So, we show you that space. Here is the allotted space. Um, 36 feet long on the longest end. So that's going to be kind of the longest run that I can have. Of course, long straight runs are important to look like a real railroad. And so um, that's where that's going to be. Little alcove is 13 here. This area up here is 13 by 13-foot office of my wife. This is 24 feet on the top edge here. The door to the parking lot. It's the front of the building. It's little used, not really a good way to traverse the planting bin outside that door. That door doesn't operate often, really doesn't impact the plan. Of course, I need to provide enough passage for my wife to get to the office. And this is 26 feet on this edge here. Now, this edge is open to the space. There's a lot of flex there. And so I think I might, I could go right up to the edge of this 26 even over in terms of utilizing. Plenty big enough for me, frankly. By the time you look at some of these drawings, um, that's right, Beaumont Hill. That could be a yard along there. Yeah, Steve, we're going to build that in there. My wife deserves to have office. Now, if she doesn't use that space, it's certainly possible in the future that I could annex that for the layout. But for now, I am going to build that. But yes, on the left-hand side there, outside the drawn space, that could be a place where operators could, or spectators could stand. Absolutely. Todd, I'm trying to get my wife to agree that we can just create that office using, partitions and not really build curtain walls there. Because it's cheaper, and because I don't think she's going to use the space. She has an office at the house. I don't really know, other than being a place for her to hang up diplomas. I don't know. um, that I don't know what she's going to use it for. But if she wants the space and she thinks she's going to use it, she's going to get the space. I'm not going to stand in her way. Again, I think I can have plenty of layout in this space. Plenty of. So even with large curves, and by the way, when we start looking at the first plan that I drew for this space, you should know that I was using, I want to say it's a 40-inch radius. I had said it was going to be 48. I ended up using 40. So that's where it is right now, 40-inch radius, roughly. Roughly. I spent a lot of time. Ed, my wife has a channel called In the Garden with Rose. We've just started that channel. So she only has 3 or 4 videos out about some plants. But she's a plant person, indoor plant person, outdoor plant person, tree person. She just loves growing things. So that's her. That's what her channel is. That's why there's a grow room. That's why, although there's not a ton of real estate around this property that isn't paved, because we have a big parking lot, which some of which I plan to convert to arable land. Um, but she'll have a garden outside and like that. And that's the plan for the accommodate her hobby. Joe, you say that it's a place for her to keep an eye on me, but she really likes the fact that the layout and my hobby activities are not going to be in the house. She believes that successful relationships are built around not spending all your time together. So, kick me out of the house down here. That's what. Yeah, I agree, Steve. But I chose that corner for a reason because it has 2 large windows in it. so that she would have light. She's a big person, big proponent of having light, and also she wants to have some plants in there. That's the reason I picked that. But I will say, Steve, as we go through this, if you think it would be better to move that office to the left, could potentially do that. If the door was in her space, you might like that. So, yeah, really, right, Steve. Not a lot of real estate here. There is a big sign out front, on a pole that still says Willie's Beer Distributorship. That's going to be one of my big projects. You wonder why I'm not making as much progress as I should on hobby things. Oh, is Dave from Carolina Foothills here? Oh, there he is. Hey, what's going on, Dave? Hope everything's well with you. Um, that's going to be one of my projects, is climbing up on a big ladder, getting those acrylic panels out, maybe sandblasting them, putting our sign up and putting it back. I probably won't get it working electrically, but so I'm going to show you first plan that I drew for this space. So, sorry, this is totally old school. Uh, Pencil, paper, you know, this is not, I don't want to invest a ton of time in learning software and I just want to move more quickly than that. I don't, the hobby within the hobby, right? So these lines represent track. They don't represent bench work. They represent track. Concept is that this is going to be a dog bone, and you can see this is clearly a dog bone. Um, so the bench work is going to be narrow in a lot of places. So it won't be more than 18 inches. So, okay, Beaumont, I will give that a try. I noticed I have any rail on my system at home and here at the shop, so I may commit to learning that again, but it is a little bit of a learning curve. Right, Todd. Yeah, I'm trying to have big curves. I'm a modern era guy, so I have a lot of big equipment to run. So having wide curves is so this, these little numbers that you see on here in these circles are how long the straightaways are. In my view, straightaways are critical. That's where you're going to be able to have yards, major scenic elements, big industries. So, how many long straight runs do you have is very important. So here we have 6 runs, two of 12, two of 13, one of 28, and one of 20 feet. Got 28-foot run. That could be a very large yard, a very large layout. This is HO Beaumont. Sorry, I should have specified that. Oh, thanks, Steve. Really appreciate it. For those who care, this was drawn with a Blackwing pencil. Same pencils that were used to draw many famous cartoons, were used by Steinbeck to write his novels. Okay, so it's drawn with a very nice pencil, and I do have a short video about Blackwing pencil. But yes, this is long ago, and I'm going to try and so imagine that there is a backdrop in between these lines, right? So these are not, again, we're not looking at bench work here. We're looking at mainline run. So the bench work will be outside of this by another um, grid or two. Uh, this graph paper. Bench work will get closer to the wall. A little bit of adjustment needs to be done. For example, over here, uh, that's probably not enough space. Probably going to have to be a little bit to the left, giving us space for get around. And notice this is an island layout. Okay, this is not. That's right, Beaumont. So this is. It'll be an island layout. Okay, there will be a scene dividing backdrop in between these two lines. So they might be a little bit further apart, but for the most part, it's going to be a really long shelf layout. Trying to, I like scenery, but I don't want to create big reach in distances, and as I go, I may fatten these out, if there's an industry or a yard that requires a lot more space. Um, so I can fatten things. I think there's enough room to do it. But this is an island layout, not along the walls. And my third plan was for it along the walls, and you'll see how much bigger that really can be. Statler, huh? Well, that is a good pencil, and I've got another pencil here, Todd. I'll have to message you separately about that, but I have another one. Adam Savage is on his Tested channel. We'll follow him. He has a number of videos about mechanical pencils. Very interesting if you're interested in that sort of thing. So this was my first attempt at this, and I gotta say, it was that's a lot of layout. And one of the things that I didn't like about this is that the door into the space is up here in the upper left-hand corner. So when people come into the room, they're just going to be confronted by this wall of layout. This is not a very visitor, spectator friendly. Um, that's right, a mechanical pencil. And I don't know where. There's one that Adam Savage recommended, and I bought that, and I can't lay my hands on it right now. The room dark in order to create this amazing cinematic look. Ha ha ha. That's right, Steve. There will be a lot of bridges, a lot of water, and I'm already planning on how to make cypress trees, which is going to be a real challenge. I've got some materials for that just today to try and I want to try and get away from the classic bundle of wire technique. So we'll see if I can do. Hello, Mark. It's Two Structures. Good to see you. So this was plan number one. Um, so I don't dislike it, but I went on to make additional plans. So this is plan number two, roughly. Um, and honestly, I think this one is my favorite. It's a little bit less layout than the plan number one. And also, when viewers are coming into the layout room, they're going to be able to go into this space here. It's a little bit more viewer friendly. Now, what I'm worried about is that I really just like the way it looks from above. Well, you're not going to really see this. You're not really going to sense this. Um, what you see here from above when the layout is built. So I don't know whether that's not really a good reason. But yeah, that's right, Bowman. It should draw people in. If I can do something interesting on this curve here, and we have a good industry here, then when people come into this space, they're going to be drawn into the layout. So I think that does appeal. So now it only has 5 straightaways instead of 6 straightaways, the way the plan number one had. So a little bit more limited, and those straightaway. These two down here at the bottom are essentially the same. And this one looks like it's 14 feet or so, but these are kind of short straightaways here. And this plan might be tweakable. I need to spend a little more time to do things a little more to scale. Um, I really did try to follow, I think it's John Armstrong's This Squares Business said in his book, Track Planning for Realistic Operations, which is incredible, incredible book. And I have three different versions of it. But I didn't really find, I found that was going to be a lot of trouble, a lot of work, and I didn't really need to do that. I have enough space that I don't really have to be that precise. So, so this is plan number two. So the layout, Heath, the layout is essentially for rail fanning. I'm a scenery artist guy. I'm not an operator, partly because I don't have a lot of experience with it. Thanks, Heath. I mean, thanks, Steve. That's that's the truth. So, and also, I am going to be experimenting with essentially having a large cold rail, battery powered, power on board layout. And I don't, that's not really very conducive to operations. Having a huge, it's going to be single track main line, industries that interest me from a modeling perspective and fit in with the Gulf Coast, um, where locale where the railroad is set. Railroad, the PK and W, for those who haven't, all right. So that's a shot at Ray, I believe. Um, so for those who don't know, the PK and W's, Pohoy, Cara, and Western. Pohoy is the name of an indigenous American tribe in the Tampa Bay area. Cara is a similar tribe in Galveston. So the railroad, high level plan of the theory of the railroad is that it runs along the Gulf Coast. Of course, there are tons of that area. Shipping, the Houston area, oil, steel, coal, yes, all those are there. Phosphates in the Tampa Bay area. Um, so there's a lot of opportunity industries built that area. And I'm an intermodal, fascinated with intermodal, so that works. And yes, I think that I don't know about how good I am with that pencil, but I found that a bottle of Tamiya, um, a spare bottle of Tamiya paint of some kind, had the right radius, so I just used that to draw the circles. So it was really pretty crude. But JD, how are you? I didn't see you come in. I apologize for that. I hope everything is great in Texas. If I could show you outside here, I think about an inch of snow has fallen in the last 3 hours here, but it doesn't look like it's snowing anymore. Although it is below freezing, and it could be icy. All right, so now I'm going to show you plan number three. And I'm sorry, this is a little, I didn't draw this with great confidence. Lines maybe aren't quite as dark, but it's basically an E. And this is an kind of an along the walls layout. So you can see I got a really nice long straightaway against the back wall of the shop. That's probably well over 30 feet. Um, and counting straightaways here. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6.5 straightaway. Maybe it has more straight sections than uh, than plan number two. Now, admittedly, this is should be rotated around, um, but this is where people would come in to see the layout. So it's not ideal from that perspective. It's not really drawing people. A wall here and straightaway here. It's not terrible, but really, really, John, I like that. I'm glad to hear that. What I don't like about it is it's uh, it's not an island, and so there's going to have to be a duck under or something to get inside this, work that back wall. Um, so so I'm a little reluctant on this one. Now, admittedly, it would be a lot easier to get this side wall and back wall done because I could just hang it on the wall. Pretty easy to do. And I think you're right, Anthony. I haven't measured this, but I do think that it it's probably a longer layout. The question is that a good thing? For you Anthony you run a lot of trains, and so having a long run is ideal for you. But I that just is more space for me to scenic, more space for me to get up to modeling enough. So I'm torn. I do think this could be an interesting layout. You could once you were inside, you could have access inside all these peninsulas. You could have some access outside here for viewers or for operating. So it's a possibility. Um, possibility. I don't. I think it probably does fully utilize this. So I've heard of the glide up gate, John. I think that's. I don't know. I don't know where there was some incredibly talented master modeler who did a video or two about a glide up gate, and I need to find those. Yes, Beaumont. Curves are not useless. They can be good for um, all single main line. That was my plan, Joe. Now on this particular plan, when it's not an island, it maybe double main line could be done. Double main line could, but again, I'm not really, you know, really for me, it's more about doing great scenery, building really interesting industries and structures, and running some trains through there, and not necessarily maybe doing a little light switching, but not any real major operating. So no, Beaumont, that's a good question. Since I'm not really um, looking at this from an operations perspective, I haven't really thought about stage. What do you think I should do? What do you recommend? Now, keep in mind as you're thinking about my plan, where my layout is geographically is in the Gulf Coast. There's not a lot of elevation change. So this is going to be pretty much flat running. Um, there can be some change in grade, right? When you get around towards the Big Bend area of Florida and all that, there is elevation gain loss. Um, but for the most part, this is going to be um, flat layout. Yes, Kyle, this is more of a rail fan. I mean, I think you can tell I am. I'm a modeler. I'm a I'm a railroad modeler, not a model railroader. as Ray would say. Um, to me, the fascination is building the models, and so, but questions are coming fast and furious, and I really appreciate it. Beaumont, I get it. Hidden staging would be awesome to be able to bring out another couple of trains and run them around. So I haven't really thought about how to incorporate um, staging. So I guess I could, in this plan, for example, bring this. No, you want to have access to. Be nice to have visible. Um, John at SRV, height of the. I'm going to have this basically at armpit height to me, where I can reach in. So I'm guessing that's probably over 40 inches high. 48 inch, 45 inches. I have to check that. This back wall here, there is a window on this back wall. I haven't drawn in here, and so I uh, I don't want to go above the bottom of that window. So that window may set the not a very not a very low window. So I'm guessing it's going to be. I need to measure it and set that height, but it's going to be fairly high. It's going to be. My wife is going to need a step stool. But that's kind of the height that I'm thinking of, John. But I'm absolutely interested in opinions and advice and guidance about how high to make them. That would be again, since it is a rail fanning layout. 53. Wow, that's pretty high, Dave. You're a tall guy, though, Dave. We're about the same height. Um, Kyle, where are you on the Gulf Coast? I lived in the Tampa Bay area several times, and that's why I'm setting the layout there. I do love the area. Love Galveston. When I lived in Dallas Fort Worth area, I used to go down to Galveston all the time because I loved it. Shorebirds and everything. Okay, 44 inches. Well, I am 6'2". I don't know how tall Dave is to have his layout at 53 inches. That that's tall. That's high. 53 inches. But maybe that's where okay, JD's at 50 inches. How deep is your bench work? That's a question for Dave and for JD. How deep? Oh, sure, Kyle. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I There's just a lot of interesting stuff along the Gulf Coast. There's a our ferry that runs from Mexico to it's either Texas, Alabama. I can't remember where it is. That's a fascinating. Agreed, Heath. Yeah, yeah. If it could be at eye level, that's what you want. But I still need to be able to do some basic operation. I'm going to be doing finger flick switches. Going to be a low tech layout in a lot of respects. It have, as I said, power on board, but no switch machines, finger flick switches, to try and keep focus on me having enough energy to do that sort of thing. Here to Hank. I'm reading Steve's comment here. Okay, Beaumont, very interesting. Yeah, 53. Yeah, maybe that's where I'll end up. I don't know. I just don't know that I can reach in very far at 53. I can't. That'll be the question. Boy, it's interesting. Seems the consent, Heath and Ray both say, boy, I wish it was just a few inches higher. So that's interesting to hear. It really is. Okay, so Dave, you're at 24-inch depth and you're at 53 inches. Is that okay? Can you reach in at 53 inches? Ah, okay, Ray. So you really wanted to be 6 inches higher. Why is that, Ray? For why Ray do you want it higher? Why Heath do you want it higher? Is it for viewing purposes? I mean, Heath, you're an operator, so I would think higher would be a disadvantage. Life, what a life. Drawing a blank there. Oh, okay. Duck under. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point, Ray. Yeah, you got to have it. Makes it a lot easier to get inside a layout if it's higher. That is, I mean, at 53 inches, uh, that would be a fairly astute under for a lot of people. True, Joe. It is better for wiring. Guess what? The only thing I'm going to be wiring is probably structure lighting. Yeah, and Ray, okay, Dave, that's good input to know. That is good. Right, Beaumont. I can see how being closer to the cars, having the layout higher, yeah, brand scale. I'm HO, but that's a very good. And you know, Ray, I'm still figuring out. I was contemplating doing L girder just because it's traditional. My last layout, I did L girder, and so I was going to do L girder again. But maybe I don't need to. Maybe I should do something. Uh, maybe I should do something much more novel. know, not just use a thin sheet of plywood, foam, and not too much support, not build an elaborate support system. So catch up with comments. Yeah, L girder creates a lot of distance between the bottom of the bench work and the bench work, top of the bench stretch there. So let's see. Okay, thanks, Heath. That's interesting. Even an operator wants it under his armpit. That's interesting. I assumed operators would want a little bit lower layout in order to be able to reach uncouple cars and that sort of thing. That is, oh, you're N scale. I'm sorry. I thought you were HO, but it's still interesting to know that you like it at. Agreed, Dave. I'm going to use the space beneath the layout for storage. I have, the classic modeler's bins of kits that need to be built, and of course, I have a lot of static models as well. So it's yes, I see JD. Sorry, JD. That's what I plan on. Well, this has been the layout height discussion is incredibly helpful. Thank you. Hello, rail artist. Welcome aboard. 48 inches, 6 foot. So it looks like a lot of people are in the 45 to 53-inch range. No, that is interesting. Yeah, I agree, Steve. I could just do box construction. All right. Well, hey, I really, really appreciate that feedback. And all I did was three plans. So it's interesting. I've got a lot of people liking plan number 3. That certainly is the maximum amount of railroad space. I just don't know if I want that. And I don't know if I want a duck under or a glide up gate. Um, so, yeah. Yeah, I want good good space around the layout, Beaumont Hill. I definitely don't want it to be. So I believe the scale here is it's a foot for every 2 squares. So this here would be only 2.5 feet right here. So I'd have to do some. Yeah, I remember Anthony Dodge. I remember you talking about that in a video about how it's chair height. It's operating out of a chair. Very interesting. Very interesting. And I can certainly do that. I've got a concrete floor here, so having chairs on casters, the cake. Thanks, Ed. Yeah, yeah. Uh, Beaumont Hill, if you're, I would not mind if you want to give me some suggestions. That would be awesome. That would be incredible. I would love to that, and I would definitely see that, and I would consider it very serious. This is early stage, just idea. I've had a lot going on in my life the last month or so. Unfortunately, there's been disruption, so I haven't been able to focus. And of course, I'm working on bases. I've got the floor in the grow room, by the way. I got a glass door to put on the grow room, and the glass was shattered into 1,000 pieces. So I'm still working on that. Um, a lot of projects to be done here. I still have trim carpentry and painting to do to finish off the space. Um, just a lot of stuff that needs to get done here to get this up to snuff. And I still have pushed off my certificate of occupancy. Let's see. Okay, so Ed, thank you for your vote for number one. I appreciate that. Um, Dave, glad your power's back on. Keep the fire going just in case. So for rail fanning, you're thinking you want to think about how steady tripod. True enough. I have a bunch of good tripods. Nothing like a steady photography. Trust me. I have several really nice tripods. I think I'd be okay stability wise, but have to have enough aisle width uh, set up tripods, especially to reach a 43, 60 inch height. Maybe the camera has to be. Um, so we'll see. Yeah, and Dave had to start the fire in order for the power to return. Of course, those are inextricably kind of like in my static modeling hobby. They say the only way that you can get a model of a plane or a vehicle that's any good made by a good manufacturer is to tackle crappy resin kit that was only produced in the 1980s. Once you finish that kit, a new kit will come out from a major manufacturer. So that's the same thing with you power. Well, Heath, I'm not expecting any consensus, but I think that's right. Um, I don't know that there'll be a consensus, but I'm collecting information. So it's really great to get all of the viewpoints and this. So, for example, I hadn't thought about staging. So Beaumont Hill bringing up staging, huge. Um, that was really big. That was really so. Okay, I am almost out of time. Let me check my list of topics. All right, so I'm gonna venture. So thank you all. Feel free to shoot me comments. I believe my email address is in my about page on YouTube. Feel free to send me some more comments or ideas, or post something on the group Facebook page if you want to. So I think Beaumont Hill was suggesting that would be awesome. So I really 6 staging tracks. Need six. Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I not really too operations minded right now, and I guess bottom line, Heath, your comment is I need to be thinking about operations. Even though it's not my current interest, it's still relevant. I still want to be able to do some of it, and I need to have the capacity. So, can a visible yard be used as a staging area? I think that would be my preference, but that's a question. Is that an appropriate way to create staging? At the moment, I was thinking I would have a double-ended yard that would be Cohoy from one direction, Karen Cara from the other. So you would reverse the entire line, um, but with only 1 yard. Thanks, JD. Thanks, JD. Hey, I really appreciate all the commentary. Um, True enough, Heath. Have strange run. All right, so I am going to conclude with one more recommendation. Okay, thanks, Beaumont Hill. Really, really appreciate. Um, it's been 30 years since I had a layout, so I've forgotten a lot. I need to. I need to start at the beginning. All of your advice. Yeah, that's right, Ed. That's what happens. So I'm going to finish up with one more quick thing, which is modeling related, but not necessarily. But it's kind of a funny coincidence. It allows me to introduce two YouTube channels that I really enjoy. Now, this Boy Hobby Time website, this guy does a ton of dioramas. He does model trains. There are several videos on there where he has made operating train dioramas. But he's got over 1 million subscribers, and he's a real storyteller. And if you are trying to build your YouTube, I think you can learn some things from Boylai. Okay, he tells stories. He's got an imaginative world that he. Thanks, Joe. And so I really recommend taking a look at this guy's site. How he tells stories. He does have build advice, and you can see what he's doing. And he's a pretty good modeler and painter and stuff. He does Star Wars, but again, he does trains too. But it's really a great site, and if you want to build your channel, it's a good way uh, to learn. Now, but most interesting to me, there's another channel that I really enjoy. That is where is it here? This site, Steve Wallace, Camping with Steve, and this guy, again, 1.7 million subscribers, and this guy camps in places where he really shouldn't be camping. So he's constantly worried. It's stealth camping. He's camping in the middle of a roundabout or a traffic circle. He's camping next to a McDonald's. And so he's constantly figuring out how to get in there, get out of there without being seen. Um, so it's really funny, and he does a great job of it. And Boylai actually did a diorama of one of Steve Wallace's camping. And so I just laughed out loud when I saw this confluence of these two channels that I really enjoyed watching. And so, but I think there's a lot to be learned from Boylai. Um, does a great job with scenery. Not working in HO or N, right? I mean, usually, sometimes he works in small scale. Um, but he does a great job. He produces one of these almost every week. But his storytelling and his um, videography, first rate. That all adds up to great experience and a successful video for him. So that's all I have got for you today. I really appreciate the feedback, the comments. Y'all are just awesome. Um, so I'm going to take all this to heart, and I look forward to any other commentary you want to give me about my potential layout plans. And with that, I am going to go back to plan one that Ed liked so much. And so, thanks, Steve. Great commentary. I really appreciate it. Good luck tomorrow, everybody. Everybody have a great week. Thank you all for your comments, and we will see you next Sunday. John or Ray, can you tell me who is next? I should have had that up. I should have known who was next week, and I failed. So perhaps John or Ray can post here about who's next. I was so focused on preparing for my own show that I didn't think out further than that. Take care, Ed. Good night. Okay, Rainbow Bell's got next week, so you all need to be out there for that. Okay. Thank you, Todd. Um, I really appreciate your comments and your participation, everybody. Um, and with that, I will say good night. Thanks again. Really appreciate it. Good luck, Dave. I hope the power stays on. Okay, take care, everybody. Good night. Make it a great week.